Well, hello, and good afternoon to all of you wonderful land flippers out there. We are here again. This is Warren Davis, and we're here on the 16th of April, Thursday. Beautiful Thursday out here in Arizona. I hope that you're having a beautiful day as well. I know in some parts of the country, I've talked to many of you that are back east, and you told me that it's got some weather going on, some rains, and sometimes it's snowing. And but in any case, we're here. Hopefully, you're warm and snug in a nice office somewhere, and you can get your questions answered here. We're with the Investment Dominator, and want you to be able to see my screen and, of course, hear my voice. So I'm hoping you can see my screen, which has the Investment Dominator and all of the components that go into Investment Dominator and all the outputs that you will experience using the Investment Dominator. Good afternoon, Jim. Good to see so many of you online with us here on a Thursday. Lately, we've, normally we have a lot fewer people on Thursday than we do on Mondays, but lately we've been having just as many join us on Thursday afternoons as we do on Mondays, Monday evening, which is great. This is just want you to keep in mind that there are three mindsets that are on the call with us today. So we hope you'll all be patient. We have the person that has just completed the 2-day Investment Dominator workshop and is starting to use the CRM now for a lot of their business. So they have one types of questions, and then we have the person that has, probably been out of they graduated from the 2-day Maximizer workshop, several months ago, maybe even last year, and they have a few more sophisticated type of answers for us on this line, and we want to get some of those answered as well. And then we have those that have not been to the Investment Dominator 2-day workshop yet that are coming up to the time either this Monday and Tuesday or a week from Monday and Tuesday that are on the line with us. So these are brand new folks, and we welcome all of you, and so glad that you're here. I want you to feel free to type in your questions. And by the way, that's why I want to go here and make sure those of you that are brand new getting on for the first time, you know how to send me your questions. Your control box, just type in your question. We do appreciate very much if you can type in the word question or put a question mark before the actual question so that I can distinguish between comments and questions. And so I can see questions already coming in, and we'll try to get to those as quickly as we can. As usual, yes, thank you very much, Robert. I do realize that was a question. I appreciate that so much. We do want you to type in your questions. Don't worry about raising the hand because there's so many of you in the room. I a lot of times cannot see those hands. They kind of flash quickly. So in any case, all right. Oh, okay, Robert's out there in Fountain Hills. I know where that's at. I used to ride my motorcycle out that way, and that's beautiful country, beautiful area. Glad you all are well, and as you can see, our world is changing quite a bit, and pray that you all are able to adjust to these changes that are coming up, and hopefully your land business will help support some of those financial changes that you might be experiencing even right now. Just so you know, a way of housekeeping, if we experience any internet issues, especially on my end, we will maybe have to exit out and we will come back in for, get right back on the session. So if ever at a time that you see it drops, and if I'm offline, which I've seen Cox cable trucks running around for a few days, and sometimes they take down, inadvertently take down our internet. I'm not going to say they do it on purpose, but sometimes they take it down. So we would have to get off and get right back on. As you can see my Investment Dominator screen, we're going to get right into answering some questions that we did not get answered on Monday, which was the 13th. And good afternoon to so many of you. I see Kate saying hello, and got Ed on the line. And in any case, We're going to do our best to get all those questions answered. We're going to go back and capture some of the questions that we had on Monday that we didn't get answered, and we're going to start. It seems like the first 3 questions. Hey, I'm so glad to see you guys joining us. Man, I tell you, so many of you I get a chance to meet and talk with, and it's always a pleasure. We're going to talk with some questions here around. Looks like it has to do with postage and not only postage but our supplies. Yes, there's a few questions here around the printing world and getting offers out, etc. So, first question that we didn't get a chance to get answered on Monday was there are questions about that, and some of these questions we can answer. Just want you to know, some of them we can't. I believe this one did come from Ed regarding when you use like a 9x12 large envelope for offers. So that's the large, envelopes that you might use to send out offers. How much postage do you need? Okay, and Ed, that's normally even the large envelopes, when we were using them at one time, we were able to send out one offer, of course, with an offer agreement and the cover letter and even exhibit A for just using one stamp, one forever stamp. Now, when we had some packets that went out where there were, we had for one person, you might have had 6 or 7 offers in the same packet, because in a case like that where someone owns multiple parcels, you definitely are going to send out one offer per parcel so that they know what each parcel they would be getting net to seller. So in that case, we a lot of times had to use 2 stamps. Now, we've never had to use 3 stamps. We haven't had a package or a packet of offers going out with that many. But if you do have to use 3 stamps, oh, I tell you, my hat's off to you. And go ahead, put those, pony up, go ahead and use those 3 stamps, because that means you got a lot of offers. Basically, for this question, we can't always answer this question because it depends on, where you sent this out from, the post office or maybe a UPS store. And of course, they have different pricings, but they will take your envelope, they'll put it on a little, scale, and they'll weigh it and tell you how much you have to pay. So that's that kind of answer, that kind of question we can't always answer because, of course, we don't know how many offers you might have in an envelope. So that, okay, that leads to the next question. Janice was asking, so what size do we use for the offers? And just FYI, this is just one school of thought. We use these greeting card envelope size. Greeting card envelopes, they're 5x75 by 8x75. So basically 6x9. We use, and they're peel and stick envelopes, and we purchase them at good old Walmart. And they come in a count of 50. So we just on a regular basis, we go down and pick up, 3 or 4 boxes of those, and they're the 5x75 by 8x75 peel and stick envelopes that we purchase at Walmart. They come in a count of 50. Their size, they say on the box, is A9. But in any case, that's what we use. And so some of you've been asking, well, okay, what other printing supplies might we need? And so I'm just going to call your attention to this, make it very simple for you here. One place you can go on your Investment Dominator screen, you can hit help and search a user guide and just go ahead and type in, I think you can type in the word resources and search the user guide. User guide is a very underused item in your Investment Dominator. But anyway, user and search for resources and you see what printing supplies do we use with the Investment Dominator. And left click on that, and here shows you a nice little list of some of the resources that you can buy. This is, again, an example of some of the shipping or the printing labels that we use. We use the 2x4s. I think this is the same same type that we use. And we use those, we put them on the offers. We don't handwrite our offers, addresses, and we print them out from the computer using the labels and print them out every week, and it works really, really well. That printing part is a whole nother, get into a whole nother can of worms there, so I'm not going to open that up right now. But in any case, those are the printing supplies, and that'll give you a little reference to get you started, especially those of you that are brand new. Okay, so again, from Monday's class or Monday's webinar, we had some interesting questions here. Oh, we're using the new offer request. If we want to review questions, if you want to review the questions on the new offer request script. Okay, how do you do that? And it is a script. Now, let me just make sure everybody understands what we're talking about is in your land deals records. Let's say a new offer request script. Let's say that here, oh, it must be under a different account here. Let's look under this account. Let's look under a prospect. So let's say a prospect calls up. So this is a person that you just sent a prospect letter to, or a neutral letter, I should say. And Pat Live takes the phone call, or you take the phone call, and you want to actually generate an offer request. So if you want to review this yourself, and let's say if you don't have any prospect records in here, because if I do have, I'm going to select this prospect. Let's say this Kenton is the one that calls. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to say new offer request, and then it's going to give me my list of questions that I'm going to ask that individual. And at the end, after I'm done gathering all this information, or Pat Live would be doing this, they're going to say process offer request. That's going to put that into the offer request or the pending preliminary research status. That's what's going to happen. But now, Angela was asking, if you just want to review these questions, and let's say you don't have any prospect records in here, what do I do? Well, you can go up here under new offer request, which is outside of, you haven't selected any records here at this level. So you can go to new offer request, and it asks you, do you have any reference number? You say, no, I don't have it. And just say, if you just want to look at the questions, but you don't want to, you don't have a real name you're putting in here, and you're just going to look at questions, just give it a name, Clem R, and search. All right. It'll say, all right, do you want to create a new record? And you say, okay, I do want to, I'll create a new record. So it's going to act like you're going to create a new record. If you just want to review the questions, here are all of the questions in that script. Thank you for calling us. Are you the current owner of record? And he would ask you, of course, obviously fill out their name. Is it owned by a company? No. And if it was yes, then of course you give them the company name. But this just will allow you to review the questions that Pat Live or yourself would be asking a seller, so that they could then have an offer request processed in your system. Okay, got a real quick question around that. Just for some clarification here, let me make sure I clarify this from Robert around this area. So he's asking, how are they still prospects when you've already sent out a neutral letter? Aren't they into the pending preliminary research status? No, that's not correct. Okay. Now, are they still prospects? Yeah, there's a distinction here I want to make sure you understand. When you've already sent them out a neutral letter. So now, when I was looking at the prospects there, Robert, that's a good thinking there. When I had sent out the prospects, understand, these are prospects in my system that I have not sent a neutral letter to yet. They've just been imported and they're prospects. So at this point, when I'm looking at my prospects, I have not sent them a neutral letter. I would then go into campaigns. I'll create this CSV file, which will have all of my prospects in it. Then I will come over here, send a prospect letter template and envelope template because I use letterprinting.net. Then I send them out their neutral letter, and then I do my bulk update, put them in mail letter 1 status. But in my system, anytime you see prospects here, that means they have not been sent. They have not been sent a letter. They're actually, by the time you get around to doing exactly what I was sharing, okay, you're going to see them. I should have clarified that. My mistake. You're going to send them. They'll be in mailed letter 1 status. So whoever, let's say Pat Live or yourself comes in here, actually they're not in prospect status. They're in mailed letter 1 status because they've already gotten a record. Then you still come in here and you say new offer request and go through asking them the questions. So I'm sorry to confuse you there. I didn't mean to do that. But you then go through asking them all of the questions, and then you process offer request, and you process your offer request, and then it puts them into pending preliminary research status for you now to give them an offer. Okay, so just want to make sure I clarified that. Okay, so yes, I was making offers, but the important thing I should have pointed out here is that they've already been mailed a letter. They've already been mailed a letter. So when Pat Live or yourself come in and you look this person up, they actually should be in mailed letter 1 status, and then you go in and use your new offer request, and that's how you generate them. Okay. Okay, yes, you need to always update your status, definitely. And this is something I won't get too much into this, but this is something new folks forget to do. They'll come in here and they'll do a good job. They'll get them out. They'll hit the campaigns. They'll get their CSV file. They'll send these out to the mail, letterprinting.net or to REI printing, and they'll mail their letters out. Everything will be good, but they forget the last step is to come in here and do a bulk update records. The very last step, because you want to make sure that moves from prospect status to mail letter 1. So I've received from different ones I've talked to. I mean, it's even this past week, probably 3 or 4 different individuals, they forgot to move this to mail letter 1. So these stayed in prospect status when they came back in. They came back in the next week. They imported. They went to imported. But see, these are still in prospect status. So you know what happens when they import another 500 records or however many they want to import. So now they've got 1,000 records in prospect status. And then they come up here and they hit campaigns and they're wondering, okay, why do I have so many records? Just simply forgot to, at the end of last week, they forgot to bulk update their records. So before I go any further, just talked with a gentleman on the phone yesterday that called me from Atlanta, and had a situation where he had done something similar, you know, it's a mistake. I mean, people just, you know, we're human, we make mistakes. So, so what happens, just for some of you new folks, what happens if I import, you know, 500 records in error? All right, in error. What happens? So, and I want to delete them, or I want to clear them out. And again, this is more for the new folks, so be patient with me, those of you that already know the answer to this. You simply come up here to your team. You come over here to activity log. Thank God, I tell you, Alex and company, they built in all these fail safes for us, so we can get back. So just in case you would see an update, you would see an import. If I had just imported records, you would see an import that looks something like this here. Add by importing list. Okay, and it would have the date and time stamp. So if you do this by mistake, all you do is come into your team activity log, come over here and hover over this question mark. This is going to give you the range. You see that 404 to 435? In your case, it could be, you know, 500 to 1002. That was your last import. Those are the actual record numbers. I can't point to it with the cursor, but those are the actual record numbers that you just imported. So you just jot those down. This is 404 to 435. And I'm going to go back in my land records, and I'm going to search by the property ID range. And I'll say 404 to 435. All right. Now, of course, you know, I didn't just import these, but you're going to see all kinds of records in my and property ID range, record 404, 403. Did I already delete these? Oh, I must have. Okay, all right. Well, I have to pretend it's another range. Let's just say, because I've already deleted those records. Let's say it's another range, 361 to 403. All right, so that was the range we got. So property ID range, 361 to 403. All right, so that's the range of records. We search. It's going to bring back just those records. And as you can see, mine, I have all kinds of records in there. So this is just so you get your most recent import, because you have to do this when you have your most recent import, and you selected these records now. And I simply say select all, which is going to highlight all these records. And I come over here and I'll say delete. And I can do this because it's going to say, hey, you're sure you want to do this? You know, you're going to delete 26 records here. And just confirm delete, and that will get rid of your last import. So you can then start all over again. Okay, hope that helps you a little bit to understand kind of like how Investment Dominator works when it comes to that particular area. And we started all of that with questions on reviewing the new offer request. That's really a lot, I know. Okay, very good. Webinar notes, let's see. Okay, this can be a very common situation. So I'm gonna open up this can of worms here, but I'm hoping we can't get stuck on our company information, because there's been a lot of questions lately around company information and setting it up, etc. But I'm gonna share one scenario with you. Let's clear my search. I'm gonna share a scenario with you that does happen fairly frequently. Okay, with the phone setup. Remember, under customize, and actually I shouldn't say fairly frequently. It happens every now and then. It's a periodic thing. But it will require you to have to become kind of like a Pat Live person. Pat Live is a call center. So, and answer seller's questions. So under company information, remember we have a company phone if you're using Ring Central. This is if you're using Ring Central only. If you have Ring Central, where you have a number here in your company phone, you also have another number, that same number, in your offer phone, because these are your sellers of property. Bottom line, extension 1 is supposed to be forwarded to Pat Live. So your recording would come on and say something like, this is XX company, glad you called. If you're interested in selling us your land, press 1. So that's extension 1. If they press 1, that call will be forwarded to Pat Live, which is our call center, right? To take our calls 24/7. If they call that same number and they hit extension 2, all right, it's supposed to be forwarded to another phone that that we designate, like a Google Voice or a Skype. Now, occasionally, what actually happens, what actually happens is when people call this first, when they call this number, instead of them hitting extension 1 by mistake or just in quick being in a hurry, now they're calling based on the neutral letter they just got sent. But instead of them hitting extension 1 and going to Pat Live, they hit extension 2. Now remember, this is a neutral letter call. They should have hit extension 1 and gone to Pat Live, but they hit extension 2. They end up ringing on your phone. So what do? Okay, you then have to go in the mode of, because this is a first-time caller, and what Pat Live would do, they would go into your land records. They would find the record, again, that's in actually mail letter 1 status, right? They would find a mail letter 1 status, and they would find that person. Well, now, since the customer inadvertently hit extension 2, you now get that phone call, or it's forwarded to some other voicemail. But if you're answering those offer phones, they're acting like they're an offer, that you already sent them an offer, but you haven't. They're a brand new neutral letter. So you've got to go in here, find the record, select their record, and you go into the mode of doing the new offer request like you would have Pat Live do. I hope that's clear, because that's happened to a few people, and it's, like I said, it's just a mistake that the customer makes. And you have to be prepared, though, to go into the new offer request and gather the information just as if Pat Live would do that, and then say process offer request. Okay, so that's the only way I could think to handle that situation on the fly. Because once you're sending out all these letters, your phones are going to start ringing, and hopefully to take those calls. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, any questions around that? Okay, Gidget asked a good question here around the new offer request. The new offer request, can you add questions to our new offer request? And the short answer is no. Sorry about that. So can you add questions? And I was trying to think if there's another way. Can you add questions or change the existing questions? Existing questions. No, Gidget, unfortunately, you cannot. These new offer requests, any of these documents that we have, like these functions where, Alex and company has put in to assist you in one of the processes. These are what we call our built-ins, and Investment Dominator has a lot of built-in features. But at this time, we can't go inadvertently and change any of these built-in features, and I can tell you why. each of these features, like all of these fields that are here on this screen, they are linked to specific databases that we use within the Investment Dominator. This new offer request, the person's first name, last name will go into either a owner database, or it could go into another database which has to do with land records, which are two databases, large databases that Investment Dominator uses. So all of these fields, these individual fields here that you see, are linked to data elements on those databases. So if we allowed, you wonderful folks, even though you would probably have good reason for wanting to change one of the questions, change some of the answers here, essentially there would be no link to any of our databases. So we could not actually find that data, retrieve that data if it's not linked to an actual data element in the database. So that's the reason why these are hard coded, they're built in for Alex and company to be able to know the exact data that you're inputting them and know how to manipulate this data as you fill out each one of these fields. So from a systemic standpoint or an architecture standpoint, the way this functions is the way it functions, and these are the questions that you have to work with. Now, you're always welcome, by the way, to go here, go under suggest feature. All right. And if you go in and you suggest a feature and just say, new offer request, and just say suggested questions to add, can you add these questions? I'm sure Alex and company will consider that, and it might lead to a change. So you're welcome to do that. But right now we don't allow too many what we call an ad hoc change, on the fly change to any of our existing functionality in the Investment Dominator. And I see that there may be questions about, well, okay, Brian said he has questions about making a market value. You're very welcome, Gidget. So go ahead and ask that question. I'll try to get it answered here. I'm going to answer a few more that came from Monday. Jim said that he has a record in pending preliminary research. And that's the status that I want to delete. Okay. To delete. And he checks the mark, he checkmarks the box to hit and then hits delete, but the screen just darkens. Screen darkens and the record is not deleted. Okay. There's one step missing, at least that I can think that might be missing, Jim. So pending preliminary research, these are offer requests. So he wants to delete a record in pending preliminary research status. Goes in, he checks the record, he comes up here, he hits delete. All right. Now the screen does darken, but as you can see, there is one more step. This action cannot be undone. So it's allowing you to confirm that you actually want that delete. All right. So if you hit confirm that you want that actual record deleted, and let's see, I'll practice on one that we don't really care too much about. We'll take this Ellis Ferguson. She's got a few records in here. So let's go up here and we delete it. Now remember, this is record number 290. All right, record ID 290. And we say confirm that delete. Okay, one records have been successfully deleted. One owner records are kept in place because they are attached to properties. So you can see in the background here that Ellis Ferguson owns several properties. So it deleted the actual record, 290, but, okay, all right. So then you actually should be able to delete any record in any status, Jim, but if you got it done, if you got to take care of, that's good. But you can see 290 now is gone. The wonderful thing, if I want to say, oh man, I didn't mean to delete that, hopefully I can get it back. I go up here, check my activity log, and it shows I deleted this record, number 290, but I can come over here and I can say undo. This is a good demonstration of the undo command. All right, and are you sure you want to undo this? And I say, okay. And delete was undid on April 16th. May not be good English, but you know what it means. We undid it. All right, go back in the land deals records. And if I search for 290, let's see, where did it put it? Oh, here it is. So 290, Ellis Ferguson, that is back in the database. Okay, so I'm hoping that brings a little clarity there for you, Jim. And wow, we've got quite a few questions coming in around accepted offers. Okay. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get to that, Brian. Before we get done here, let me make sure I did my assessment through the county assessors, and it's list 49,500. Person bought the property 2 years ago for 35K. Last 2 years, only one vacant land sold for 60K. To me, there's not enough to go by comparable. So I looked at house values that were averaged over 500K. Yep, that's good. When I do the math, 20-25% home value is 100K. So county assessor is 49. Huh. Okay. Good question. Okay, good question, Brian. Okay, I'll see if I can get to that. I've got an idea of how I might answer that question. Let me make sure I get through my Monday questions here so that I don't mess up and then go back on my word here. My word was I'll get done with the Monday questions. Okay, this is a pretty straightforward one. We should be able to answer quickly. A question must have come in through our ticket system. So, oh, tell you, our time is moving on here. Okay, if you feel a need, the need to override, this is an interesting question. The existing or default the PS line. Okay. PS line from company, because that's in company info. So what are we talking about here? Okay. If you look into your company information, it looks like this person was asking the question. I don't know exactly who sent this in, but here in company notes, there is, I think I've shared with almost all of you that whenever you put anything in company notes, this is going to print out on your neutral letter that goes out of Investment Dominator. Okay, anything you put in company notes. So you don't have to put anything in company notes, but a lot of folks are putting their office hours. And so what that looks like when it prints out, if we take prospect, we generate documents, and we come up with a neutral letter here. As you can see, there's a PS line. We are available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Arizona time. Call us anytime. So this automatically creates this PS line as in on your neutral letter, right? So that comes again from your company info, and that's what we call the default one, because it automatically prints as a default. But if you want to override this, if you want to put you want to put something else in that PS line, there is one way to do that, and that's what this person is asking. How can they override that? One way, I would just change it if I wanted it to say something different. But let's just say you want to override it temporarily. So you can come up here under document template settings, and you see here letter PS line. So you can type in here something like PS, the land business is wonderful. Okay, so we're going to type that in. Make sure, again, this is in your company. Make sure you come down here and update site. So all I did was under customize, I went into document template settings. I typed in my own PS line here. So now when I go into my land deals records, I select a record. Let's generate document here. Now let's see what our neutral letter looks like. At least I'm hoping I'm answering this individual's question the way you want to override that. All right, notice here, it overrides it. Land is wonderful. Land business is wonderful. So that, now, my company notes are still there. All right, and they're customized in my company info. They're still there, but obviously when you go into document template settings, and if you put something actually in that PS line, it will override anything you have in your company information for default. So I can't think of the scenario in which I might want to do that, but that's how you do it. And I'm going to just put it back to the way it was, update site. Okay. So Jim's asking, so if you left the PS line blank, it would print nothing. Well, no, if you leave that PS line in document template settings, if you leave this blank here, Jim, it's going to print whatever is in your company information under your company notes. That's what prints there. So now, the only way, if I don't want to print anything at all, I would obviously not have anything in company notes and have nothing in the document template settings PS line. Okay, so right now, the way this works is if there's nothing in letter PS line, the system looks for something in company notes from your company information. And it prints that. That's the way it works. And then, of course, if you put something in this PS line, no matter what you have in company notes, it's going to print whatever you have in letter PS line. So that's the way that works, and it works very well, it looks like. Okay, so let me capture Okay, wow, we had one more question. We had one more question from Monday that was asked by Carl. I want to make sure I get that. I think that's our last question from Monday. So for records in pending preliminary research, research status. Okay, these are offer requests. Do I need to generate a custom status? Do I need to generate a custom status such as offers to be sent? Okay, he must have looked at my system already. Such as offers to be sent if I have some offers that are ready to be printed and other offers that are not ready. Okay, I think I understand that one, Carl. Looks like in his land deals records here under offer request, pending preliminary research status. So each week, I'm assuming that Carl has some of these, he's done some of the offer requests, so he's gone in, done the work to find out what he's going to send out on some of his offers, but he's thinking, so he's finished some of his offer requests, but others of his offer requests are not ready to be mailed out yet. He hasn't done the work yet to come up with an offer. So he's asking, so do I need to create a special status? Like for this record here, I could go into my change status, and I happen to do have a custom status, offers to be sent. So I could change this status from pending preliminary research to offers to be sent. Because what I'm telling myself is, okay, this one offer, I haven't done the work on this one yet, but I've done the work on these others. Here's another one I haven't done the work on yet. How do I know? Well, because the offer amount is 0. So, okay, so if I have multiple records in the system that have 0, where this means automatically I have not generated an offer. You see, the rest of these have positive numbers, right? So these two, so he's saying, do I need a status? Do I need to go in here and change the status to say offers to be sent, because they're not ready yet? No, you don't need to create a custom status. This is another, I think it actually came down the pike this last year, where Alex and company have put in, again, another fail-safe. If you have a market value that you've calculated, but we don't have an offer amount here. I don't know why that situation exists. Usually, if you don't have, here's an example right here. Ellis Ferguson, we don't have an offer amount, but we do have a market value that somehow got put in the system. I don't know if we put that in there from checking comps, or if sometimes when you get data back from some of the counties, they have a market value in there already. That could be how this got in there. But bottom line, you don't need to create a new status. All you need to do is leave this offer amount blank. And let's say that if this is 0, means I don't have an offer yet. And I go up here and let's say I say generate documents, and I try to produce this. This is what I'm going to get. Record 243 must have an offer amount field entered, and the offer amount is larger than the back taxes in order to generate an offer cover letter or to do anything at all, basically. So that's what I would get in my offer, or let's see, my offer cover letter. Record 243 must have an offer amount entered, and the offer amount is larger than the back taxes in order to generate an offer. It will not generate a cover letter. It won't generate an offer at all. So that's the way you will control that. And again, that's from the genius of Alex and company. Put that in, because this would really mess you up if you went in to create all of your offers that are in pending preliminary research, and it printed out offers, and there was nothing in the offer amount, even though you had a market value calculated, or not necessarily calculated, but just an offer, a market value in the system. So he put in this fail-safe that if this is 0, no offer gets generated. So that, see, there's no need to create a special status. All you do is go on and say, okay, under my campaigns, over here under campaigns, I want to just print out all my offers. So you're going to print out all of your offer cover letters for any offers that have offer amounts calculated and market values calculated. System automatically knows. And the ones that have offer 0, it doesn't do anything with them. So, genius, Alex. If you're listening, that's genius. Save you a lot of headache. All right. So, okay, Brian, let me tackle that question that you got there, sir. That might help some other people as well. Appreciate you asking that. And I'm going to give you some thoughts off the top of my head here. I will look probably more in depth after we get out the call here. But he said you did an assessment through the county assessors, and this property it lists for $49,500. $49,500. So that's the county assessed value. Okay, and this person bought the property 2 years ago for $35K. The last 2 years, only one vacant land. Well, last 2 years in that area, only one vacant land sold for $60K. My first question is it a vacant parcel similar in size to yours? I'm going to assume that you've looked at that. So it's similar to yours. Okay, so only one similar to yours sold for $60K. And to me, there's not enough to go by with a comparable, I would agree. So I looked at house values that were over $500K. Well, there is one more check that you can do. Let me see if I can get into something. Let's look at this record here. Hopefully, got some decent data in here. Let's do this. Okay, so this was a pending preliminary research. I'm gonna go here and do my market research. Let's go to good old Zillow. It's gonna take me in based on my zip code. So you see I've got some. This is looking back only 90 days. You've looked back over 2 years, and you said you started with the solds. Okay, so sounds like you only found one property that is comparable, and so that comp came out to be so far maybe 75K. Okay, correct. So you found one comp, house values, and we'll do the math. So it came out to be like 100K. So the county assessed it at 49.5, but your comps come out to 100K. Well, before you jump to the house values, what I would do is go back and I would say, look at what's for sale. I would look at the listings, and I would look to see if I find any comps comparable to my size property and in that area listed. And if I find some listed, then I'm going to take, 75 to 80% of the listed value as my market value. All right, before I jump into the houses. But then, if I did not find anything there, I mean, this county would make me a little nervous, by the way, Brian, if that's all the comps I could find in this area. But in any case, I would look at the listed first, then I would look at the houses to see what I could find. And this listed, you may find quite a few, especially going back 2 years. Here I'm just going back 90 days, and I find quite a few. If it's a decent county, decent area, just going back 12 months, I find more listeds. So you could try it that way, and then finally, if there are no comps whatsoever, I would probably, I don't know if you've done work in this area, but if you've checked out some other comps, since you've been in this area, I would look to see what is the relation between the market values I'm finding and the county assessed. And you'll start to see a pattern where, if the county assesses something at 50,000, the market value is usually, higher. Oh, okay. Brian said this was going to be a blind offer. Okay. Well then, it's going to be a blind offer means you must have some other parcels that are around the same size, in the same vicinity, that you could establish some kind of pattern as to what the market value is, hopefully. And that being the case, then you probably pretty much have what your market value is without having to, go case by case. All right. But if this is the only one you're working on, then the other thing I might do, Brian, too, is put in a call to the county. That's one of the first things we do, the county assessor, and let them know, see if they can tell you what the relationship is between the market value and the assessed value. Being that they're the county, they probably can give you some insight into that. So I'm going to have to leave that one alone. I hope that gives you a little more insight there, Brian. And want to leave you all with this thought. Sure, pray that everybody's doing well today. Leave you with this one thought by Dr. Steve Maraboli. As I look back on my life, I realized that every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. I like that one. I look back, I realized every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. And in this business, we do experience a little rejection, but I'm gonna tell you the way I look at it. I know that this is a numbers game. If I go through enough folks saying no to me on my offers, saying no to me on, wanting to sell me their land, it's just a matter of time. I'm going to find, matter of time before I run into that person that says, yes, Warren, I accept your offer. It's crazy, but I'm going to accept it. So every time I get a no, that tells me I'm just that much closer to my next yes. All right. Every time you get a no, you are that much closer to your next yes. So that's a quote from Warren Davis. You all can take that one to the bank and enjoy you all. Have a great day and a great weekend. And we'll be back here Monday at 5 p.m. to get more of your questions answered. Thanks so much for the questions, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.